First of all, how's the squad looking? Is everyone? I know there's a lot of guys didn't train today. Is everyone fit?
Yeah, that was a case of the old second day recovery, first day recovery. Had a small group to train with. Got most of the players out on the pitch. Really light session. Few did a bit extra, but all fit and well so far. Hopefully it stays that way.
Good stuff. It's been announced today that Scotland are going to stand united on Thursday ahead of this game in a show of unity against racism. We've obviously seen what's happened in the last few days. We've got in Kamara. Can you explain why the team have decided that they feel they need to do that?
I think it's just a case of, firstly, fully supportive of the team and the actions. I think it's a case of action now. I think it's a case of, I think people are getting a little bit fed up with everything that's going on. The last, year to 18 months. I think now it's about firm action, incidents getting punished properly when found guilty. I think it's just a case of, that's what the players want to see. Obviously, over the course of the last year, we've had taken the knee. Obviously, individuals and some teams have decided not to. It's obviously, it comes down to a personal and team choice, but I just think it's about action and showing that support. We're fully supportive of the team and the decision that's been made.
As a coach and as a former player, of course, and given the conversations you've had with the players that you're working with, are you of the opinion that the taking of the knee has not registered with the authorities, or do you have any faith that the authorities are going to do anything?
I think it has registered. I think it's obviously such a massive moment in the game and a massive movement that is definitely registered. I think it just got to a stage where people and players and I think everybody just wants to see the action. Don't want it to be just a moment in time where it's the action being taken and then it's brushed off. It's yesterday's news. I think it's now people want to see that firm action, and I think probably one or two have got a little bit fed up that action has not been taken quick enough. Hence, obviously, individuals deciding not to take a knee and stand, and teams doing the same.
If there was an incident, forgive me, I don't know what Steve has spoken about with the squad. If there was an incident involving the Scotland squad, would you as a squad consider walking off the pitch?
I think we'd have to. Yeah, I think we'd have to. If the players individually, collectively, if there was an incident of some that we've seen, in the past, I think we have to be fully supportive of the decision of the players. And if that's to walk off the pitch, then that's what they'll be allowed to do. And I think it's incidents like that are going to be the real incidents that define, I think, how we're going to move forward with it. Because I think we've had I think personally and collectively, I think everyone's had enough of the token fines here and there. I think it's about proper action now, proper bans, proper fines, whatever it might be, but some severe punishments. I think hence the reason why people have decided to, in their own way, not take the knee, make their own statements. It's about firm action. Until that's done, then, I think people are going to be, taking their own course of action.
Do you think there needs to be then really firm action, firm punishment from UEFA about what happened to Glenn Kamara? Is that what you're calling for now? The time for words is now over.
I think so. I think that's been the case for a while. I think it's action not just only in punishments, fines, bans, but also action in the diversity of big organisations and decision makers. I think people want to see more diversity in big positions, whether that be coaching roles, administration roles, through across the board. But certainly, obviously, going back to the incident with Glenn, I think Rangers dealt with it really well, really strongly. Obviously, Steven Gerrard was, in my opinion, backed his player all the way and was strong in his actions and in his words. As I think, on the whole, I think the support's been magnificent for the club and for the individuals that it affected. So yeah, it's about now, UEFA taking the right action and it being firm action.
And for us here in Scotland, what's your opinion on where we are with the problem? Is it still a problem? Do we need to still do more?
To be honest, I'm probably not the most qualified to comment on that. So I'm not going to, go into too much detail with it. But from what I've seen, obviously going back to yesterday's game, the support for Glenn, in the Old Firm match was good to see. The actions being taken by the club in the last week, the actions the SFA are taken now with new schemes that are being brought in, fully behind that diversity and inclusion. So I think everything's moving in the right direction. But now I think people probably just want that little bit more action, being a little bit more proactive in that. But I think you'd like to think the majority of people are on the same page with that.
If you don't mind me asking, is this something you've come across personally yourself?
Yeah, there have been incidents. I think I've been, on a personal level, I was probably fortunate that, on the social media side of things, I think over the last few years, it's really escalated into what can be quite a toxic environment, especially for players. It might be an individual performance, an individual mistake, and it seems like on a weekly basis now it's abuse. I retired 6 years ago and it didn't seem to be that place, on the social media outlets. It was more a little bit of stick, a little bit of abuse about ability, not race, not gender, anything like that. So from a playing point of view, I probably finished at the right time, because I can see it being a really difficult place for players and families at the moment.
Is that one of the biggest things that you think has brought it all to light again, the way it goes around social media?
I think the ease in which people can feel free to abuse who they like, whether it be out in the public domain on Twitter, on Instagram, or whether it's direct messaging. But it's just the ease in which certain individuals feel they got the right to, abuse someone for race, gender, sexuality. I think it's just too easy to set the accounts up. Obviously, a lot more needs to be done in that regard. People being held accountable for whether it be the tweets they're sending, messages on whatever social media network it is. But it's almost just too easy just to throw things out there, and I think that's become a major issue.
In terms of the match itself, how are you all feeling about getting together again after everything that went through last year and the start of a new campaign? Yeah,
well, finally I'm smiling. Yeah, it's good to talk about, obviously, the excitement of being back. I think it's probably come at the right time for the group as a whole. Obviously, individual players have got, their own bits and pieces going on at their clubs. Nice to get that break now before the end of their club seasons, but more importantly, the enthusiasm, the excitement. Obviously, we've got a big summer ahead, but got a great chance to get off to a really good start in this campaign. Obviously, the World Cup qualifiers, and ultimately, we want a taste of what we tasted against Serbia. Don't want it to be that one hit wonder where we qualify and then that's it for another 20 years. It wants to, we all want it to be a regular occurrence every couple of years. So just want that taste again. And if we get off to a good start in this group, which hopefully we can do with 2 home games and despite the last couple of results, the good place that we're in, then hopefully we'll be looking up for the summer and then obviously the qualifiers to come at the end of the year.
We saw how much momentum played a part last year. Is that the key focus then, just to build this when you've got 3 games in a week?
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously it was a couple of disappointing results after the last camp, after a really good run of results, performances culminating in that qualification. But it's important now that we start a new run. The spirit in the squad's good. We've got a couple of the lads that have met up today, majority yesterday, that are all just buzzing to be here. Like the turnaround that I've seen in the last couple of years has been incredible. From what felt like at times, maybe not everyone was on board and not enjoying meeting up. There was a bit of a negativity around it. I think everyone's delighted to be up, enthusiastic, and ultimately, hopefully, deliver some good performances in the start of the World Cup qualifiers. And obviously, there'll be a few big decisions to make in the summer also.
Is there an update on Ryan Jack at all? I know he's not been involved with Rangers for the last few weeks.
No update at the moment. Still some discussions to be had. So no.
How excited are you to have Shea Adams as part of the setup?
Delighted. It's obviously gone on for, been rumbling away for a little bit of time, but delighted to finally get it over the line and have him involved. Obviously in really good form for his club, playing at a really decent level. So delighted to have him on board and looking forward to working with him over the next 10 days.
I think most of what I've seen is excitement about Shea coming into the setup. There's maybe a few people that, get a bit, their back up a wee bit because, he's maybe said no to Scotland in the past and has now said yes to Scotland. But I suppose that's not an issue at all for anyone else. No,
the squad is strong. It's a welcoming group. Everyone's on the same page, and ultimately you're not going to please everyone. You just can't please everyone all the time, and all Shea can do is just work hard, hopefully take his opportunity when it comes, score, obviously a goal or two, and we get a few positive results and things are soon yesterday's news. But yeah, you can't please everyone. Most importantly, the players, all the staff are delighted that he's here, and there's real competition for places, obviously not only in this camp but looking ahead to the future as well.
What do you think he has that's maybe a bit different from what the previous squads have had?
Listen, they've all got their own qualities. Even the boys that have been fantastic for us in previous squads that played really important roles. The lads that are unlucky to miss out on this squad. So I'm not going to go into sort of comparing what Shea can add and what others maybe not. But they've all got their own individual abilities. But I think it's plain to see the qualities that Shea's going to bring just by obviously his form that he's had for his club this season.
Obviously on top of Scott McTominay, I think there's sort of 6 centre-backs that have been picked. Is that a hint that potentially Scott could be getting moved into midfield?
I think the manager's answered this one a couple of times, but listen, he's obviously been in fantastic form this season in midfield for Man United. Scott, there's obviously a lot of options to choose from, not only midfield but at the back. So we'll just see how the week develops. But I'm sure there's going to be times when Scott is moved into a midfield role, or there might be times when he's got to fill in at the back. So listen, he's a class act no matter where he plays. And the pleasing thing about the role that he did fill in was his ability and willingness to do it. Full confidence in his own ability, and we'll see how things develop. See what ideas we try and train in and look at and see come Thursday.
Going back to the game on Thursday, Austria set to have all their Bundesliga stars. Obviously, you do want to play against the best Austria team possible. But also, you talk about making it to these tournaments. We know the World Cup qualifiers, only the top team goes through and the second will go into the playoff. It's a must-win game then, you're playing the second top team. I know you don't want to say it's a must-win game, but realistically, if you're going to be one of the top 2, you're playing the second seed at home.
Yes, I definitely wouldn't say it's a must-win game. Obviously at some stage in the group campaign, you're going to have to produce some big results. There's no two ways about that. It's a tough group, like they all are. It's going to be a tough game, no matter who is in their final 11 and in their squad. Obviously, there's been talk of what the Germany Federation are going to do with that group of players, but we're just going to be preparing for their strongest team, which is a strong team. Obviously in good form at the moment, and also qualified. So it is going to be a big test. But we've had big tests certainly in the last couple of camps, and it's a test that we're fully confident in. But it is important we get off to a good start. No two ways about it. You don't want to be chasing your tail in a way at the back end of the group campaign. You want to get off to a good positive start to get the World Cup qualifiers off to a good start, looking ahead to hopefully what's going to be a successful summer.